Welcome to the April live Q&A. Thank you all so much for being here today. Today's live Q&A is in honor of wrapping up our Onyx Storm coverage. And Nicole and I are going to be recording episode 12, the very last one, on Monday. So it's so exciting. And then tomorrow for Dragon Riders and Iron Squad, you all get the episode 11. So it's so much fun. Okay. Well, we are, of course, as always, going to give our content warning. Spoilers for the Empyrean series, including all of Onyx Storm. This live Q&A will be recorded, like always, so you can tune in later if you need to. And as an FYI, we are going to be releasing this particular Q&A on Monday, April 28th to the public. It's the first time we've ever done it. And I'll be honest, as a quick peek behind the scenes, it's mostly because Nicole and I need an extra week of prep for our new deep dive series, and we need to fill that week with something. So it made sense just to plug this in there. So yeah.
And I've seen a few people being like, I'm so sad this is the last time we're talking about Onyx Storm. We got X amount of years to wait for book 4. Trust me, this will not be the last time we're talking Empyrean in those years. We will definitely be back. Oh my goodness.
Yes. Oh my. In fact, we were even talking about it together because it's especially once when you get to the last episode, it's like trying to just stuff everything you possibly can in there. And it's like we have to keep reminding ourselves that some opinions are going to evolve, even from, for instance, when we're talking, like when we're outlining like who the brother contenders are. I actually have a lot more to say just from kind of other things that we've learned since then, especially about Arik and even Brennan. I'm going to have an argument for Brennan. So,
are you really?
Yes.
Oh, how interesting. Oh, y'all, I'm so excited to talk about Luther. I cannot even express. So Lexi and I, a little bit, but peek behind the scenes, we're in a few days, we're going to be going through basically all of our Spark episodes, kind of looking at like the map of the outline, because we are going to be doing things a little bit differently, but we're not going to share why yet or how. We're prepping by listening to Spark the Everflame, and I'm just here like kicking my feet up in the air every time Luther comes on screen. I'm so excited. Screen on
Earlier this morning, I no spoilers, I listened to the foot massage scene. And all I could do was think of you.
I will be sweating my little daylights out through that scene. Anyway, but we're not going to introduce Curse yet.
Yeah, we're not talking about that yet. Anyway, so today is, again, Onyx Storm. We have some fantastic pre-selected questions that we're going to pull here, and we're going to try to get to more than usual, again, because today is going to be a lot longer than we usually have that 1 hour. And if you all are familiar, when you type in your question, please put in capital letters question right before it. That way, Peyton, who's in the background here, it's her very first time. So yay, everybody congratulate Peyton for her first one. It helps her be able to start so that we can then answer those questions.
Hooray for the Sanity Manager. We're so happy she's here. Oh my gosh. Let's get into some of the pre-selected questions that you all submitted prior to this. And that is, did Onyx Storm strengthen or weaken your belief that Violet and Xaden are endgame? If you were going to make a bet right now, or if you were going to die on this hill, which way would it go? Lex, you kick it off.
I think Onyx Storm solidified more than anything that they are endgame. I know that, he's in a little bit of a predicament by the end of the book and they're not together. But also I can't help but think about what Rebecca has said, where it's like when you do have one romance for 5 books, you got to have lots of conflict. And Xaden being Venom is definitely conflict. So I definitely think they're endgame. Exactly what that endgame will look like, I'm not exactly sure, but I think that these two just love each other so deeply and will go to the ends of the earth for one another, literally. And yeah, that's all I can imagine.
I'm very in agreement with you. I think that it really just depends on what endgame looks like. Does that mean they are together until the ends of their lives? Does that mean they are together until the end of the series? We don't know. But I definitely think no matter what it is going to be, they are together. If anything, the marriage at the end really, really solidified it. But I will say the thing that probably like locked it into place is actually the pattern of 3. I keep going back to that from our deep dive. And in case you haven't listened to that episode yet, there's this moment right before the chair scene that Violet is doing some reading of a book that Takara sent her, and she says that makes 3. And we don't know what the 3 is, but Lexi and I did some sleuthing, and the epigraph to that very chapter is a passage from a book that is about Venin, and it's basically saying how a Venin sage desiccated an entire city with the exception of her husband, and we assume her 2 children. So what we're assuming from that is that Violet is understanding that like Venin, out of no matter what level, they are still going to protect the ones they love. And if anything, actually, I don't know if you saw this when we're doing the outline for episode 12, there's a moment where Theophany is like, we don't feel love. And Violet is like, I know you do though. And so it's just moments like that. So going back to the endgame question, yes, I think they're 100% endgame, especially with that knowledge in our back pocket.
Also, several people are commenting, and I agree. I feel like Rebecca has said in some interview or several interviews really alluded to they are endgame. There is no book without Xaden. I can't remember which interview that was. So if anybody knows which one it is, please let us know. But yeah. I say
well, and also
endgame.
most romance books, which yes, I know this is in the fantasy realm, but like most romance books do have a happily ever after. It's not really sure what that happily ever after is. Sometimes it's them together, sometimes it's them apart, but one of the person who's like who we're POVing is coming to terms that we're better apart, or yada yada.
This episode is sponsored by Squarespace. We all know that an effective website is essential to the success of small businesses, and starting that process can be really overwhelming. But luckily, Squarespace has had our backs for all of our website needs.
Squarespace simplifies the entire website creation process. Start a completely personalized website with the new guided design system, Squarespace Blueprint. Choose from professionally curated layouts and styling options to build a unique online presence from the ground up, tailored to your brand or business and optimized for every device. Easily launch your website and get discovered fast with integrated optimized SEO tools so you show up more often to more people and grow the way you want.
Plus, for our friends who sell products through their website, Squarespace makes checkout seamless for your customers with simple but powerful payment tools. Accept credit cards, PayPal, and Apple Pay, and in eligible countries, offer customers the option to buy now and pay later with Afterpay and ClearPay.
Go to squarespace.com/FFG for a free trial, and when you're ready to launch, use offer code FFG to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain.
All right.
What is the top question each of you have for this book for Rebecca Yarros that she would never answer? Shall I pull out my list of all the questions that we have for Rebecca Yarros while we're deep diving this book? Now, you all, this was so hard to keep secret because half of these questions, or actually more than half of these questions, we came up with and said on the podcast, oh, add that to the list of questions for Rebecca Yarros, when we weren't allowed to share that we were going to be interviewing her again. So
we've known about this one since October.
We have, yes.
And this actually was before we were invited to do the one in February. And it's so funny because we were like, are they like, they're asking us to interview her twice in 1 year? Like, I kept thinking that they were gonna like pull it from us or something like that.
We kept on being like, there's no way that this is too good to be true. They're gonna be like, you can't have this many interviews with Rebecca Yarros. But okay, so
did you keep that a secret? It was so hard. Like,
it was near impossible. That was so difficult. Can you tell us more about why King Tari is called King Tari the Wise? That's one that I feel like she would answer, maybe.
Yes.
Hopefully. Why were the Crovelish uprising? That's one I don't think she would answer. Like, what made the Crovelish so angry that they uprose?
Oh, I was just under the impression that they just didn't want to be part of Portmeal and they wanted to be their own kingdom.
Possible. That would probably, then maybe she would answer it. I don't know. Oh, here, this is one she would definitely not answer. The throne scene. Was that Xaden or Violet's power?
Yes, that is definitely a top question that I don't think she would answer.
Definitely.
We're still gonna ask. Yeah. Who was it?
Absolutely.
I made a comment during the interview about how saying that we should make this a drinking game with her just saying no. And somebody calculated, I think there's somebody in our Discord, I can't remember who it was, I'm so sorry, calculated it. And it was something like we would have like had to take 8 shots and we would
I would is what you're saying. I would have dead died on that stage. Here's another one that
why does Dane have so much power? That's another really good one. Too. Yeah.
Can you elaborate on the meaning of my magic likes all things in balance? I think she would.
I think so too.
answer that one. Does Bodhi have a thing for Violet? I think she would probably not answer that. If it's true, she would answer it if it's not true.
Yes.
Yes. What is one thing you're absolutely sure we're going to get in book 4, so much so that you would die on the hill?
You go first, Nicole. I really want to see everyone else's answers too.
Oh, dream sex. I will die on the hill that we are getting dream sex next book. Absolutely. No question in my mind. That is happening. Thank you, Jensen. Dream sex. Everyone says dream sex. Yes.
One thing that I think we're absolutely going to get, Mira and Drake.
Oh, that's a good one too. Yes.
Mira and Drake. Those 12 hours, yes.
I'm actually not sure we're going to get every detail of them. I think we're going to get bits and bobs in book 4 and then the rest of the bobs in book 5.
I was originally going to say maybe we get more about General Daramore, but I could see that being a book 5 reveal, honestly.
I could see it. Here's what I can't remember if I actually said this on the episode. I think at the end of book 4, we're going to get the reveal of General Daramore, and then Violet is somehow going to end up in General Daramore's clutches at the end.
Yeah, I can see that too.
Absolutely.
Pirates! Yes, Alyssa!
The Kraken!
Gosh, you all know me so well. I love it.
Oh my gosh. Oh, and another thing, the fight with
Imogen and Garrick. Oh,
Imogen
yeah,
and Garrick,
especially
yes.
like wherever, if Garrick returns, because he is one of the missing people. More information about what Andarna did while she was gone.
God,
Yes, Dane and Sloane. That is another fantastic one.
I think we're definitely going to get some kind of battle on the province of Caldir and Tyrandor border, especially with Halden. I think that could be Halden's demise. Who knows?
Oh, that would be nice.
That would be delicious.
brought
The
him upon
compass.
himself.
If we don't get the compass in book 4 and it's not until book 5 that we get it, I will riot.
Corden finally falling.
Oh my God, it has to.
Yes,
it's the new
yes.
Isle Kingdoms. Every other sentence, I feel like it's mentioned Corden's falling.
You know what? Let's pause the pre-questions here and let's jump to some of all of your questions because I'm seeing we got 43 so far. So let's
Holy
tackle a few of
mackerel.
them.
Let's do this one from the top. This was from a while ago. What was your favorite episode to record of Onyx Storm? I think that
They all kind of blend together.
I know, they kinda do.
honestly.
So it's so funny because every episode, as Lexi and I are mapping out the outlines, as we're mapping out the chapter by chapters that we're going to be covering for the show and all this kind of stuff, we break down the chapters and then I break down like a general list of things that this is what happens in this chapter stretch. And I bold the big things that happen. And there was only one chapter stretch that not really a whole lot had bolded except for one thing, and that is the chair scene. And that somehow ended up being probably one of my favorite episodes. Y'all, there is so much on the cutting room floor of that episode that Lexi and I were just going banana. Like poor Hayden in the background was like messaging us being like, I just got to part 4. What is happening? Like, that was a fun one.
I think my favorite might have been about just like Papa Sorengale. It was just so satisfying to be
Yeah.
able to talk about that. And it really hasn't been like, I feel like I was able to insert him in like every other episode before like an Iron Flame and such. And with this one, it was kind of like a lot of like upfront stuff. And now I haven't talked about him very much lately, especially about him and his research, because it's kind of like, okay, the book is sort of mostly closed on
Yeah.
that. Not entirely, but so I'd say that episode where it was just like the second Crowland uprising and just all of the Papa Sorengale research glory. Not the slide whistles.
Not the slide.
Oh.
No, actually, okay, quick behind the scenes. So the slide whistle gave us all a headache. Like, so not
It
like
was very
legit-
difficult to record.
was-
So what did you end up having to do?
So hold please, because I actually have my slide whistle right here because I keep it in my desk. So I don't. Can you hear it?
Oh, yeah, I can hear it now.
Okay. So on the recording devices that we were using previously to the new one that we're doing now, which is Riverside, I was doing the slide whistle and you couldn't hear it. So poor Hayden had to use a cut that I recorded on my phone of me doing the slide whistle and insert it over me performing it within the show. And poor dude almost murdered me that week. Lovingly. It worked out so well. Like his
work out
editing
well.
mastership. It was amazing. Oh my
Yes,
God.
yes.
It was the slide whistle appearance was not on my bingo card for today, but I should. Oh my gosh.
What did Rebecca told you about Sloane and Dane? Reddit is going insane.
So backstage. So for those of you who were not at our Q&A where we discussed some things from that backstage experience, Rebecca literally looked at us and said, what off the record questions do you want to ask us? Or what do you want to ask? And some of them we can share, some of them we can't. This one we can, because she did confirm that Dane and Sloane are canon, that they're definitely going to be more of a thing. She didn't really say how or like if it's going to be fully on the page or anything like that, but she did confirm absolutely that they're happening and that she's had them planned for a while. I believe she said that. That sounds right.
But yeah, she just confirmed the two of them. So yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
Wait,
yep.
Reddit is throwing me off. I'm gonna need some links later.
I don't go to Reddit because I'm always scared about what's said about it. I avoid that stuff very much so.
Honestly, I'm so grateful that you do.
I know, because otherwise Nicole always knows if I went in and found things that were
because she calls me and she's like, I need a pep talk. And I'm like, oh dear. This is a question from Nicole. How do you think the Irids will come back into play in books 4 and 5? Okay, so I have two different answers to this. One is if they are with Andarna at the end of book 4, or at the end of, book 3, and they just came back with her and they're going to be more incorporated, I could see them kind of having a head-to-head with the Empyrean, really, really butting heads on politics and butting heads on how things should be done and all that kind of stuff. If that is not the case and Leothan and co did not come back with Andarna, then I actually don't see them coming back into play until probably book 5.
Yeah, we still don't know how Andarna was able to burn the venom and how her magic feels different when she changes her scales. So I don't know. I do you still think that the Irids came back with Andarna and that was the shadows moving?
So
because I know you were very on board with that. That might be another one of my favorite fun theories of yours.
when I started that part of the outline, I went ham on that section. And then because we always do this, I like to look at different options and what are other theories and yada, yada, yada. And then I saw another one that I was like, oh crap. And then as I was like divulging it onto the outline, I think I gaslit myself into believing that one more than the Irids one. So I don't know. I'm going to say it's 50-50 right now.
Okay. Ooh, I like Madison's idea here that Leothan will be the peacemaker between the Irids and the Empyrean. I could definitely see that too. I think that he in particular will play a larger role as well. And I could see the Irids, especially towards the end, because it'll be very interesting to see how the world ends up after all of this. Like everything is like history is being written here. And I think that a lot is going to change in the continent. And I could see the Irids having some hand at that there.
Totally. I still call him Leonard. Can't get away from the first video recap. It's okay. We do too. Sometimes Lexi has to pause and recorrect herself before she says Leothan.
A quick message from today's sponsor, Hungry Root. Let's be real. It's always the busy season. Life never stops. Don't we at Fantasy Fangirls know it? We don't have a lot of time to go grocery shopping or to cook healthy meals at home. That's why we love Hungry Root.
Hungry Root is like having your own personal shopper and nutritionist all wrapped into one. They take care of the weekly grocery shopping, all while recommending healthy groceries and meals tailored to your tastes, nutrition preferences, and health goals. They make it easy to eat high-quality, nutritious foods and achieve any diet or health goals from anti-inflammatory to gut-friendly, gluten-free or dairy-free, high-protein, and more.
If you have been following us on social, you know recently I figured out that I was allergic and/or sensitive to basically everything under the sun. And Hungry Root makes it so easy to meet those dietary needs of gluten-free, dairy-free, corn-free, soy-free, free. And it's so easy to not only get those groceries delivered right to my door that I know I can eat, but also that they're tasty. They're so good.
We love Hungry Root. Take advantage of this exclusive offer. For a limited time, get 40% off your first box, plus get a free item in every box for life. Go to hungryroot.com/FFG and use code FFG. That's hungryroot.com/FFG, code FFG to get 40% off your first box and a free item of your choice for life. hungryroot.com/FFG, code FFG. All right. Ooh, several questions about the Empyrean. So let's dive into these here. From Elizabeth, I was wondering if there is one big Empyrean or multiple from different places. So, Nicole, please correct me if I'm wrong here, but my understanding is that the Empyrean formed after the first 6, when all of the dragons agreed to leave their hatching grounds, which were everywhere all over the continent, and they all agreed to go to the Vale and have one big hatching ground for all of them. And that is how the Empyrean was formed. And so I'm assuming, I don't know this, but I'm assuming that the first 6 dragons were the first Empyrean. Now, my other understanding is now with the Oresian hatching grounds, they have their own elders and such. So I don't know if they call it the Empyrean, but they do have their own dragon hierarchy. So in that form, yes, I think there are 2 separate Empyreans or 2 separate dragon political systems at this point. Now, what they feel about each other, I don't know. But yeah, that's my understanding.
Yeah. Yes, agreed. I think it's
Yeah.
going to cause a big headache for the Empyrean. There's going to be a little bit of a jumbled, maybe not mess, but a bit of a jumbled, like, kind of regrouping at the beginning of book 4, because 3 elders in Oresia have now died, which means 3 elder dragons of those same dens have now been upgraded to elder status. So I'm going to be really curious what the elders, or excuse me, what the dens are. So, like, was it orange and red and, I don't know, green? Like, we don't know. So I'm going to say it's not black, but it might be, because then Taran would be an elder. But we
Well,
don't.
hold on now, because that's interesting, because him and Coda are the only 2
Yeah.
grown black dragons. Several more have hatched since then, but Coda is the elder of the Empyrean at Biscaeth.
Yes.
But we have not gotten any hint that Taran is for the other Empyrean. So maybe there isn't
what?
the same kind of formal hierarchy. They just have their own elders.
I'm going to add that to the list of questions to ask Rebecca.
All right. So, along the Empyrean lines here from Alyssa, do you think the Empyrean are the ultimate big bad?
So a little bit of context behind this question, because I think this is where the line of thinking is. In Fourth Wing, there's this line from the Fables of the Baron, where it's basically warning people against the ill intent of dragons. There we go. I'm paraphrasing entirely. So there has been some theories of being like, why would dragons need that kind of warning sign, basically, especially if Papa Sorrengail is the one who wrote the Fables of the Baron and gave it to Violet. I can see it too, but do I think that they're going to be the big bad? No. I think that the big bad is going to stay Venom, but I do think that there's going to be some kind of, like, maybe there's dragons working on the Venom side. Maybe that's how Wyvern are created, through
like Panchek's dragon. What is up with that? I'm very hung up on it.
That's also a question we have on here. How did Panchek's dragon feel about him passing information to the Venom?
Yes. I don't think that it's so black and white with, like, them being bad or not bad. Yeah, like, for instance, quite a few people in the comments here that they're not the big bad, but they're not necessarily the good guys. Now, I do think that it's a little bit torn. We already know that some dragons really do think that they should go after the Venom and that they should, like, help everybody else. And then there are other dragons who don't believe that and they want to stay within the Navarian wards. Corrupt? Yeah. Like, so I don't think that anything is so black and white with good versus bad. And that's something that Rebecca really does emphasize in her writing as a theme, where I think Lilith is a great example, where she was not necessarily a good person, a character, like with her values and things like that, but she was still in her own way, like it's never like that. So yeah, I think that it's going to be very much a balance, and especially just the different perspectives of dragons, and it's going to kind of come to a head here.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we just know so little and they are so secretive. Yes, indeed.
I really hope, I think I was saying this about book 3, but I really hope book 4 is the dragon book. I hope we get all the info on the dragons and Dorna's changing colors, because that's mentioned once and then never again, which drives me crazy. I think that if anything, book 4 is going to be the big Empyrean book to set up for the war in book 5. I could see that.
Yeah. Let's see here. Oh my gosh, okay. So Claire asks, have you cracked how the dragons can lie about their full name? I'm still so confused by this idea. Honestly, me too. All that Rebecca said is that dragons can lie when they are giving their names. So that's all that we know. And I just think that, especially for the more common dragons, they have lied, and it's still very confusing. I'm sorry, I'm not more helpful.
the way I took her answer is, let's say I'm on the flight field. I have my dragon. My dragon was bonded to my mother or whatever. And I'm going to give my dragon's name to the role keeper. And the dragon says, my name is actually this, but tell them my name is blank. So it's a new name that they're telling me to give it, but I know that it is the same dragon that my mom had. So I think that the marked ones would be in the know, but they would be divulging and keeping the secret for the dragon. That's my understanding.
Yes.
I have this one from Bookish Girl. If you could assign one second signet to a character, what would it be and who would you assign it to? I'd probably want to assign it to someone with a mind signet because then they could do something more offensive on the battlefield. And my mind immediately goes to Dane. Who have I become? Oh my God.
By the way, I like your shirt. I just noticed you're wearing your Quest Squad shirt.
Thank you. It has broccoli on the back.
Of course it does. Dane was somebody who came to mind immediately for me as well. Riddick is definitely another person. I don't think that he does have a second signet, but I do think that would be really fun if he did.
Bodhi is something people said. I forgot about Bodhi, but that's okay. Everyone does, except for apparently Jordan. Lacey said Bodhi.
Say Mira. I would love Mira to have a second signet.
Ooh, okay. That's actually good. I like that a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. You know what? Second signet is flirting. Riddick's second signet is flirting. I love it. You know what? I would have Mira's second signet be siphoning, and that way she could really extend the words in such a cool way. Be like a power boost for the words.
Okay, I actually really like that. If I'm going to go back to Dane, I think I'm going to give him something like fire wielding. Like I think he needs something just standard. Like he doesn't need anything crazy.
Standard.
I just want to give him something standard. I just want him to be a little bit more helpful on the battlefield because apparently he needs it. He got knocked out way too quick in Umbriel. That's why.
Yeah, I could see him being the metal wielder too. Yeah, Sawyer with the second signet, that would be very poetic.
That would, yes.
Yeah.
I like that. I think, and then Bodhi having a second signet, I feel like would just destroy his character arc. He needs to not have one so that he's just not as powerful and sad about it.
I do, like, there is definitely the big theory that he does have a second signet because of that line, and it is very so secretive that, like, Zayden's, so there's that there.
True.
Yeah. I just love all this. Like, Dane needs a sexy second signet. Like, GFDD, why do we love him now? Molly, what is a sexy signet?
Raw sex appeal. That's Riddick's second signet is what that is.
Yes, indeed. Oh my God. The only one is Shadows. That's a sexy second signet. I love it.
I don't know. Distance walking is pretty sexy because imagine you could be anywhere in the world and then poof, you're immediately in like a good sex place. Just immediately.
Oh, Molly says that he can strip clothes off with his mind.
Or just considerable length. Oh, that's incredible.
Wow. Projections, 2 Danes at once. Now we're getting very Wolf in the
I was going to say, this is Wolf and the Witch at this point. Which, by the way, was one of the scenes that I had as an option for Lexi to read, but alas, it did not win.
Aiden says we're all going to horny jail.
Oh my God. Ooh. Hertz says, I think if Dane had a second signet, it would be turning into animals. His last name, Atos, means eagle. I love that idea. Cool. I really love that idea.
Turn it. Oops. Nope. I'm not going to say that because that's a spoiler for another book here. Okay. Okay. Here's lots of questions about the ending of the book. So this is actually very, very helpful for us as I need to dive into outlining after this.
Me too.
Yes, indeed. Did Sigail break the bond with Zayden?
Okay, so I just finished this part of the outline, but I don't know if you've gotten there yet. What are your thoughts here?
My honest thoughts are I have no fucking idea. But that's not my job to say that. So I worry, yes. I think that it's a lot more likely that Sigail broke the bond with Zayden than if Taran and Sigail broke the bond. I do not think that Taran and Sigail's bond has been broken.
I will play devil's advocate for a second, because one of the main reasons a lot of people think that Taran is so exhausted at the end is because he's recovering from a broken mating bond with Sigail. And Sigail is nowhere to be found, but that's also unsurprising.
Yeah, because they would have said maybe something about how, well, Zayden's missing, but Sigail's here or something like that.
Yeah.
That's cool, Alyssa. I think Andarna blocked it for them not to break it. Blocked it for them, not broke it. Yeah, I could see that.
I could, yeah.
I don't know.
So-
I do worry. I'm like 70% leaning towards Sigail having broken the bond with Xaden. I do think that Taran is exhausted because there was another question. Do we think that Sigail and Taran helped kill the elders? In my heart, I feel like they were trying to protect the elders, and it's just all looks like it was Xaden's doing, but it actually wasn't. And they were actually trying to protect the elders or something like that, or the other riders. Maybe it was something to do with Berwyn. I'm not exactly sure, but I do think that Taran and Sigail were fighting to help the elders versus to kill them. I just can't wrap my head around them killing the other dragons.
I can, and I wrote it in my notes, and I don't remember my reasoning, but somewhere in there, you'll listen to it in episode 12. I do think that in my opinion, there's two options really. There's Sigail broke the bond with Xaden, and now Xaden is off on his own so that Sigail can stay with Taran. And then option 2 is Taran and Sigail broke the bond so that Taran can stay with Violet, Sigail can go off with Xaden. It's going to entirely depend on how much Sigail wants Xaden to go Venom, because if Sigail goes with Xaden, then she still gives him another power source other than just pulling from the source. There's still his dragon. But if she says, nope, fuck you, I'm going to stay with Taran, then he's off on his own, and the only power source he can pull from is being Venom. So I'm actually leaning towards Taran and Sigail broke the bond, or Taran is exhausted from maybe like a permanent fracture in the bond. I don't know if it would be broken. However,
I wonder if he would be tired. I was going to say, I think that Taran could be tired because he's feeling Sigail having broken the bond with Xaden.
Possibly. That could definitely be it. Here's what I think, no matter what, all bonds breaking aside, I think Andarna is going to heal whatever bond has been broken. We know from Leothin that she is magic and she can create bonds where there shouldn't be bonds. So I think that, option number 3, all bonds are still intact. I don't think that's the case, though. But I like your thinking, Kelsey. But I definitely think that Andarna, no matter what, like let's say, for instance, Violet and Xaden somehow are broken. Their bond is broken. I do think that is the case. I think eventually Andarna is going to be the one who heals the bond because she is Irid. She can do it.
Yes.
So.
Thank you, Kelsey. Kelsey coming in with all of that. Yeah.
Kelsey coming in with
there is definitely the possibility that Taran is tired because he was in a fight with the elders. Taran and Sigail have both shown that they do prioritize their riders over other dragons. And that was kind of a theme towards the end. Yeah.
From Ashley, all bonds being intact is too nice for Rebecca Yarros' writing. Oh my God.
Oh man. Yeah, Rebecca likes to torture us.
I can't remember if it was on stage with us or a previous interview, but she said, I like to think about what a person could go through. What's the worst thing a person could go through, and then put them through that. And I'm like, yes. Cool, Rebecca. Awesome. Also, just so you all know where we are in the W right now, which is how Rebecca Yarros plans her series and also her books. But right now we're in the second dip, of the W, which basically means everything's going to shit, and it's the worst that worst things can be. So book 4 is going to be fun.
Health is so important, but it can be easy to let important health maintenance slip through the cracks. But now we're testing with Function throughout the year. Function is an all-in-one health platform that starts with over 100 advanced lab tests covering your entire body: heart, hormones, liver, kidneys, thyroids, autoimmunity, cancer signals, toxins, nutrients, and more.
Function Health is about taking control of your health through data. We love data. Instead of guessing what's happening inside your body, Function helps you know for sure, providing access to over 100 plus advanced lab tests. These lab tests include insights to your thyroid function, hormones, liver health, heart health, autoimmunity, kidney function, nutrient levels, heavy metal toxins, immune systems, electrolytes, and so much more. Your first set of tests help establish your baseline for your health, giving you a starting point to compare future tests against. This also makes it easy to spot changes, even subtle ones, and address them proactively.
Health is universal. Function Health is for anyone who wants to understand their body better and make informed informed decisions for a longer, healthier life. Function currently does have a waitlist, but they are offering our audience the chance to skip it. Huzzah! Head to functionhealth.com/FFG or enter code FFG when signing up to skip that waitlist. All right, let's see here.
Oh, wait, from Caitlin. Do you think Imogen can use her signet on dragons? Do you think she may have erased Taran's memories and that's why he's so tired? Possibly, but because Xaden can't use his signet on dragons and he is so popular, I'm leaning towards she can't. But also, then that also means next book, can Taran just tell Violet what happened the last 12 hours? And
I was thinking about that
too easy.
too. I could see him saying something along the lines of like, I respect your wishes and you told me not to tell you, kind of thing like that.
True.
I don't think that people's signets work on dragons because Violet's second signet manifested because she could not, it didn't work on Andarna, so it actually manifested on Xaden. Xaden's signet doesn't work on dragons, so I don't think so. But I do love that idea about that's why he is so tired. That is a good point. I think I saw this question here as well. How do we think that Violet will find out about what happened in the 12 hours? When we asked Rebecca, she said something along the lines of, well, there were other people there. And for a while I was like, oh my gosh, well then it must have been Imogen. But Nicole brought up a really good point that Imogen was not one of the missing writers. So she must have been at Orisha. Yep. So we don't know. So Violet must have come back to Orisha and that's when she told Imogen, or Imogen must have found her or something like that. So Imogen wouldn't have been there at the wedding.
Yes. So my guess is the people who know are Garrick, Xaden, Bodhi, maybe. I don't know. But if Bodhi is the brother, then he might be off dealing with this shit. I don't know who else it would be, because maybe Andarna. I could see Andarna telling Violet what happened, because I don't think
I love this idea. The missed 12 hours. I have a theory that they divided up the bits and pieces of the secret so no one holds all the information RSC style. That would be smart.
Oh my God, that's actually so good. I love that a lot. I love that a lot. No matter what, I don't think we're going to get into chapter 1 of book 4 and then boop, there's the 12 hours. Like, there's no way. I think that's going to be spread out pretty drastically throughout books 4 and maybe even 5.
We've seen several questions about like flashbacks too. Do we think that we'll get a flashback of the 12 hours? I hope. I don't, but there was another question about what bonus chapter would we want from Onyx Storm. It would absolutely 100% be the wedding. That's the one that I would want.
Okay, well, let's say the wedding's off. Actually, I like this question. Let's say the wedding's off the table. What bonus chapter would you want from Onyx Storm if the wedding is totally off the table?
Dane going in and getting the Papa Sorrengail's research. Gosh, did that happen? Like this book, like, wait, it's been so long since we talked about that.
That's so real. Oh my God.
Would yours be the throne scene that you were so
well, actually, yeah, probably, but I think mine would actually be Arik figuring out what his signet is.
That would be a really good one. Yes, that would actually be mine too. Yeah, Arik manifesting his signet.
Yes. But obviously the throne scene that she faded to black, which was rude.
Which episode was that was that episode 10?
Oh God, I have no idea. Probably. Yeah. I think so.
And Darna's POV while she was gone. Yes, that would be another fantastic one.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Mira, Drake, and the wine. Yes.
The Adventures of Drake and Broccoli.
That's just a book. If I got a single scene, I would be like, I need a book, madam.
I want that to be like one of the graphic novels. Like, can that be it?
I can't wait for these graphic novels. I'm so excited.
Yeah.
Oh my God. A broccoli POV. Absolutely. I would read an entire POV of him just saying meow, 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 meow. And I would just vibe so hard. Xaden and Dane buying the Devarelli silk. That's amazing. Oh, Dane POV getting slapped and having to thank him.
Or even Xaden's POV for that. Like he would have just like some best narration of it.
So if you guys haven't listened to Lexi and I's going back the basket POV,
how does Halden go poop in the basket?
You know what? I could do without that chapter actually now that I think about it. So when we covered Xaden's bonus POV scenes from Fourth Wing, his his narration of what is Dane, just everything that is Dane, is so fucking funny. I would give anything to listen to Xaden talk about Dane getting slapped. Dane and Sloane's romance starting. Yes, absolutely. Ooh,
Yep.
This is a fun question from Leslie. Who do we think are the 4 missing riders at the end? So Garrick is one of them. That's the only one we have officially confirmed, because Xaden I don't count because they're so pissed at him.
They do count Xaden.
Are
I
you
made a
sure?
comment. I am sure, because I even pulled out that passage and made a comment in the outline for it.
This is so Lexi. Lexi goes in and she's like, well, actually, and then pulls out like 4 different documents. And I'm like, okay, fine. Okay, fine. So Xaden.
Because they did say about like, okay, I bet because they were talking about Xaden, and then they're like, I bet the other 3 are already dead. And so that's why. So Xaden and Garrick are the 2 that we know. Nicole here, I think these are great too. Bodhi, definitely. I can see Bodhi being gone for sure.
Yeah.
Whether that means that he's a Venin or not a Venin. Arik was on my list of who else could be missing. Dane was like another one, but I don't really see Dane going off with Xaden and Garrick.
I don't know. Dane is kind of going through his rule breaker era, I think. I think so. He knows too much to not.
Yeah, I don't know who else. All of our favorite boys.
Someone, Mira asked if it's Mira. It could be Mira, because we only know riders. We don't know pronouns or anything. So
correct.
Cassie said Riddick.
Riddick could be another one. For sure.
Stuart said Pancheck.
That too.
Yeah.
I was thinking Pancheck, or could Pancheck be one of the riders who are considered dead? Because Pancheck would have to be a Venin now, because Nicole and I are kind of under the impression that Pancheck has not been a Venin, but with his dragon dead, he would have to be either a Venin or dead. But we also don't know if the 4 dead riders and their dragons would be here in Orisha, or if it would be, because I kind of got the feeling that it was in Orisha. So yeah, Pancheck is definitely another possibility there too.
Yeah, Pancheck is Venin or dead.
Pancake is a Venin or dead. Another person who I was very again, just thinking about who is in the battle is Kaori.
No. Absolutely not. I refuse to believe that's true. I'm changing the subject.
Yeah.
Jay says, I think Arik is with the new army from Zelna. Absolutely. That's where I think Arik is. I don't think he's missing. I think he's just he's luring them in.
Any flyers be missing?
So they do say riders, right? I don't know.
They do say riders.
Okay.
Yes. But I was wondering, because at first it was like, well, could Drake be missing? But it's like, no, he's in Corden. No, Rebecca has confirmed that. Yeah. Yep. Yes.
Oh, Corey says Nicole's Professor Curse strikes again. If Kaori is gone, the only one that I would be holding on hope for then is Devera. And Devera has to stay okay, right? I don't know. I could see her dying next book.
Yes. Yes. Several questions here about Dane's mom. So Rebecca hinted that Dane's mom will play a role in the future. Do you have any theories on who she is? There is a theory going around that she might be from Signate. That's cool. I haven't heard that theory before.
I don't see her being from Boromir, though, just given who Daddy Atos is and just his prejudice and just being an ass. So I definitely think she is Navarian. But is she,
or she says that she's Navarian. We don't necessarily. She could always be pretending.
That's true. I don't know. I'd love to see this interview, because I actually haven't seen this, that she's hinted that Dane's mom is going to come back into play.
I haven't either, but going off of that, what if his mom was dedicated to one of the other gods?
Which one do you think she'd be dedicated to? I think it would be one, just literally speaking, it would be one that Dane would have a parallel to. So I would say like Loisum? No, Wisdom. Who would sleep with Daddy Atos? Oh, I should have worn my Daddy Atos shirt today. How sad.
Cole turned that Daddy Atos into a good thing for Dane, and I was not having it whatsoever.
Oh, it's a codex on one side.
Well, while we're talking about the gods, and will we see Loisum or Loel? Will we see the gods, or will they just be in the background? Is there an isle dedicated to Malik?
I don't think there's an isle dedicated to Malik, because they just never talked about it.
There is the Bay of Malik. There's the Bay of Malik. Yeah. So there's that. That would be a terrifying isle to go to, the god of death. With
I don't know if I want to stop there.
So yes, to answer the question, yes, I definitely think we're going to see Loisum, which is the isle dedicated to that goddess. I think that there's going to be something big there, and there's a reason that we haven't gone there yet. That's going to be a nice little puzzle piece. I could also see, Papa Sorrengail's research having a little hint there or something, and like Loyal, especially with my favorite line about how both war and love change souls irrevocably. Look, I'm so good at saying that word out.
Oh my God. The hours Lexi has dedicated to practicing. I'm so proud. Oh my God. Look at you.
I could see, I definitely think there is going to be something to that dedication. And I could really see that tying into the soul and the cure for venom or something along those lines. I don't know exactly what, but yeah.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah.
Don't sleep on Malik. Everyone thought the coordinate. Never mind. I'm not going to say that. I agree with you both, Flo.
So the cure is there because love is the answer. Yeah, I think that there's something to do with all of that there too.
Yeah.
With the souls and how it's lost, but then like how Violet owns Xaden's soul. There was another question. Do we think that Xaden's soul is in the ring that he gave to Violet?
That is one that I'm going to say I don't think I'm going to get on that theory, because that, like, this series is the introduction to fantasy, right? And book 3 really elevated that introduction to more of an intermediate level with the gods and tying things in with dedication and stuff like that. I think a soul being in an object puts it into Voldemort status. That I can't think of that and not think of the Percival, not Percival, whatever the ring is in Horcruxy. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Feels too Horcruxy. I agree. I think that it's going to be something to do with maybe it being gone, and Violet will somehow have a way of reviving it in some way, somehow. Yeah. Oh, good question. Was Duke Lindell missing at the end of the book?
I
think that he is in his city. It begins with a T. I can't remember. Tiradeva or something.
Oh, shoot. Yes, I know exactly what you're talking about.
I can read it, but I can't pronounce it. So I think that he was there because I know that either Surrey or Ulysses was there. So I'm assuming that was the case.
I agree. It's not on the map. Never mind. I'm putting this away.
So this is a great question here. What if Violet has to dedicate herself to Loyal to cure Xaden's soul, maybe by sharing her own through love, and that's why Dune rejected her?
Ooh,
that's a cool idea.
Okay, Beryl, I like that. Yeah,
I like that a lot.
I like that a lot. I definitely think we're going to see a dedication to a god on Paige, and I think it would have to be either Dune or Loyal, given Lexi's favorite passage. They change the souls irrevocably. I'm so proud of you. Oh my God. Okay, let's talk about this from Callie. So we know from Rebecca that there is going to be a death of a character who is beloved in book 4. And Callie says, who do you think will die in book 4? My money is on Rhee. I'm worried about Rhee. I don't think it's going to be Rhee. I don't think it is. Maybe that's just
Garrick. I'm very worried about Riddick. I'm so worried about Riddick.
I hate this. Oh my God. I regret choosing this question.
I think you've always been saying that you think it's Taran.
I do think it's going to be Taran. And I think that's why I'm so not okay, but I'm at peace if it's Taran, because
I'm going to hold you to that if that does happen.
And the next time we're in a hotel room reading it at 3 a.m. Yeah, I do think it's going to be Taran. I don't think it's going to be Riddick just because of the character that he is. I think everyone in Second Squad's second year is safe because there's only 3 others. I think Sawyer is definitely safe. He lost a leg. That would just be cruel. I think Rhee is safe because she is just such a staple character in this book. And I just don't see what that would propel Violet forward in it character-wise that wouldn't be propelled by another book. Riddick, I say that, and then Riddick, I could see Riddick, unfortunately. But I think Taran, exactly what Lacey says here, we get too many fake outs of his death in this book. There's so much buildup in Fourth Wing about if Violet dies, Taran dies, Sigail dies. Like, it's like all of this chain reaction. So I think just to play on the chain reaction, there's going to have to be one of those core 4 die, and I could see it being Taran or Sigail. But Sigail is not someone I think of like as super beloved, you know? I think it's Taran and Sigail would die together, yes.
I'm worried about Mira or Brennan.
See, I think Mira's near death in Onyx Storm
Whoa,
saved her.
Natalie, Garrick, Xaden kills his best friend as Dark. I could see that happening for sure.
I don't know. No!
Dark.
No!
His honey bear. I'm worried about Brennan. I could see them kind of losing the Mender.
Yeah. I could see the loss of Brennan, but I think that would only be after a Naolan download or some kind of Naolan coming of, Nicole clutching her braids in shock. I was holding on for dear life because Lexi rocked my world, said no.
I wouldn't be mad about Brennan. Nicole and I are roasting him in episode 11 because he's not the brilliant strategist that he kind of has a reputation for, as Xaden points out.
I just have to stick with what I said. I think it was in episode 10 because it's the only way it makes sense to me. Brennan was a brilliant strategist in Navarian leadership or in Navarian isms because that was like the leadership that was the information that made sense. They had a lot of info on the Paromish, all that kind of stuff. But when it comes to being a brilliant strategist on a very unknown enemy like the Venin, I don't think he's living up to his title. It's for sure.
Yeah, it makes it feel like it's not him. Yep, I agree. Maybe Naolan kills Brennan. Ooh, that would be
that would be
dark. If he is alive. Yeah. Do you think that we'll get another Mender? Sarah asks, voted off the aisle, Brennan. You know us. We're dragon experts, but we're not necessarily wine connoisseurs. Ever walk in a store and have no idea what wine to get? Yeah, us too. So we've stopped wasting time at the store aimlessly staring at a gigantic wall of wine and instead rely on Naked Wines.
Naked Wines connects winemakers and wine drinkers directly, allowing for vineyard to your door delivery at up to 60% off of what you would pay in the store. By cutting out the traditional retailer middleman costs and markups, winemakers can pass those savings on to you without skimping on quality.
I absolutely love Naked Wines. I recently filled out the form with the wines that I really love, and voila! It just appears on my doorstep, several days later. And I am absolutely obsessed with the wine. I recently had a Cabernet Sauvignon, and it was so, so good. It was one of the best ones that I have had in a really long time. And I'm just so excited because I have 5 more of different ones, and I just can't wait to try them.
Now is the time to join the Naked Wines community. Head to nakedwines.com/fantasy fangirl and click enter voucher and put in the code fantasy fangirl for both the code and password for 6 bottles of wine for just $39.99 with shipping included. That's $100 off your first 6 bottles at nakedwines.com/fantasy fangirl and use code and password fantasy fangirl for 6 bottles of wine for just $39.99.
So Britt says, what character did your view change of most during the deep dive? What was your opinion of them before and after? That's a hard one because it's not like ACOTAR where oh no, never mind. Dane.
Yeah, Dane. Dane is the first one who comes to mind.
I'd also throw Brennan out there just because I think I was still Team Brennan in Iron Flame, just given him and Violet's relationship and all of that. And then he just seemed so useless other than mending in Onyx Storm. And I don't mean that as a dig as the character development. I just mean that as like he just doesn't seem like he's living up to the standard that he said. Kat's another really good one.
I go Sloane as well. Ooh. Her character development has been really fun and kind of getting a different evolved my perspective on her. I'll actually also go with Xaden. When I first read Onyx Storm, it was not my favorite Xaden book at all. Mm-hmm, and now after deep diving it, I really have enjoyed Xaden and just like all the little morsels of him and Violet and protecting and like kind of like his why behind things. So yeah, Imogen is another really good one too. Yeah. So Garrick's a great one too.
We're
just listing all the characters.
I know, right? I'm not going to say opinion changed. I would say solidified its place as my favorite FMC is Violet. I think up there prior was Feyre, specifically like Akamath Feyre, but then Violet came in and just won the bucket. It was amazing.
Yeah. I love that about what Lacey says here. Our thoughts on Brennan could also be that we're seeing Vi lose older sibling worship.
Oh, wow. That's deep. I like that a lot. Oh my gosh.
Well, see, on the reread, yes, absolutely. Bree says, not even the horse riding, smiling scene got you, Lexi. It's like, not on my first read. But my
I think
second
you were
one,
too tired.
yeah, right.
I will say, so I saw a video recently, and I'm so sorry, I don't remember who it was by, but they were saying, fuck, marry, kill, Fourth Wing Xaden, Iron Flame Xaden, or Onyx Storm Xaden. So I'm going to ask you that. Fuck, marry, kill, in the audience as well. Fuck, marry, kill, Onyx Storm, Fourth Wing, Iron Flame. I did that in a weird order. Sorry.
I think marry Onyx Storm Xaden, even though he's a Venom, but man, he just loves to prove his love to his lady. Probably fuck in Fourth Wing, just because there is that like, oh, I love you, but I hate you.
Yeah.
And I guess I'd have to go kill in Iron Flame because, oh gosh, it is like, Xaden, you're not setting our girl up for success here.
See, that's
All
so
the
funny.
secrets.
'Cause I think I would kill Onyx Storm Xaden, which that is simply because that's the only one left. I would fuck Fourth Wing Xaden because the same reasons you said. That is just top tier. And then I think I would marry Iron Flame Xaden. He's writing her letters. He's like, I will only kiss you if you ask me. I love the I love the worship like that. He's just a worshiper. It's just so nice. Obviously, Luther is my favorite book boyfriend. No wonder everyone is killing Iron Flames. I will die on the hill for Iron Flame Xaden. I think he and Violet, they had some issues, but he was doing
Plot twist, marry all three.
Amazing.
There, Caro agrees with you, Nicole.
Thank you, Caro. Iron Flame Xaden is great. They're just going through some stuff.
So Dana asks, chapter 64's epigraph is from a high priestess of Dune and says, quote, from one servant of Dune to another. Is Arik a servant of Dune? I was wondering about this as well.
Same. So I think I could read this two ways. From one servant of Dune to another, it could be from one servant of Dune, the high priestess, to Violet, servant of Dune. But the way that it's written is this is a letter to Arik. So it's like from one servant of Dune to another. I'm going to pull up the whole epigraph.
I was just about to do that too.
I don't think Arik is dedicated for multiple reasons. Number one, his hair is not silver. Number two, it is illegal to dedicate children on Amaryllis or on Navarre.
So here is the full epigraph. Quote, a gift from one servant of Dune to another. I must warn you, only those touched by the gods should wield their wrath. I will pray to her that she need not use it to avoid reacquainting herself with the other who carries her favor. Her path is still not set. Recovered correspondence of High Priestess to His Royal Highness. Da, 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 da. So I think that it is actually to Violet because the gift is the dagger from the Temple Stone. And so the gift is for Violet, but the message is for Arik.
Fire in Wonderland. Plot twist. Arik dyes his hair. I agree.
There was one of those questions as well, which I saw if Imogen dyes her hair because she is dedicated with the silver hair. I don't think so. I think that because just a lot of people do have dyed hair and it's just like Rebecca has dyed hair. So I'm under the impression that Imogen just likes to have pink hair. That's just what I think. Yeah.
That's exactly how I read it. Yeah. I think going back to this question of chapter 64's epigraph, I think it's referring to Violet. It is worded a little differently. So it does sound like it could be Arik, but I do think it is Violet at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Yes. You all asked so many good questions. I'm looking in the background. I'm like, oh God.
This is a really fun one. What is our favorite one-liner from Onyx Storm? Megan's was, quote, he described you perfectly, Daenatos.
What is my favorite one-liner? I mean, good thing I fuck like a third is just so good. Like, it's so good.
Mine might be from Garrick the Honey Bear. Like,
Honey Bear!
Honey Bear!
You know what? Yeah, that's a really good one. I think any time that Xaden takes Halden down a peg is just delicious. But the scene where Xaden like basically picks Violet up and is like, I'm glad you didn't say I'm a professor. I can't remember what he says exactly, but that's another.
Oh my goch, yeah, where it's like,
moment.
okay, great, I am not officially professor. That exchange there too.
Yes.
Thinking of any Taran quotes. It kept the inside thoughts inside.
Honestly, yes, Taran was just such a girl dad this book, and it was so wonderful. Yes, the table's broken. That's another good one. I really just enjoyed Taran stepping more into who are you talking to? Where you were saying in regards to the girl dad, and then Was it Dad? You were
Our
talking
dad,
to
yeah.
Dad?
Yeah,
Okay, so
well, because he's only read Fourth Wing, and
Yes.
so I hate sewing. Yes.
That's a good one.
I'm getting that sweatshirt.
Yes.
Yeah, so I was talking to our dad because he had just finished Fourth Wing, and I was like, yeah, like Taran is such a girl dad. And Fourth Wing Taran is not so much of a girl dad. He's much more of a curmudgeon. And our dad was like, wait, you think that he's like a girl dad? And it's like, oh yeah, you haven't read the rest of the books where he really becomes a girl dad. Yes. Yes, and Darna's comment that his wings can hold the burden of his ego. Yep. I
Yep.
keep wanting to say basket bitch, but that's one of our lines. You will not be killed by a house cat. Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
all of these are so
Oh my God.
good.
It's so funny because like it feels like Onyx Storm Deep Dive felt like it went by so fast. And yet we're like going through these lines and I'm like, oh my God, that Deverelli scene feels like it was forever ago.
Yes.
That was
Ooh,
so
he
fun.
used the wing leader voice. Oh my gosh, all of these.
I have a
love
question
them.
from Mir, and it is, can you see any Irids bonding writers? They would have to have a big glow up in order for me to feel like they would bond a writer. I mean, they would be able to second bond a writer, because that would be another thing, is I could see more Irids bonding. But I don't know. Actually, I say that, and then Rebecca doesn't like to have people with too much power. So I don't know.
I'm gonna go with no, because I like that there are those dragons that are just so different.
Yeah.
Yes. But I could see, I'll say this though, I could see like one of the tails manifesting and becoming a weapon tail. I could see that happening.
Oh, okay.
And it almost being like an accident.
Ooh.
I don't know.
I like that. I like that a lot.
There's a lot of questions about, oh, what if an Irid bonds someone as their griffin or dragon is dying to save them? That I could definitely see.
Going back to, was it Marin I was talking about, who she got the 2 orange tunics, right? And I was on.
Oh, yes, this is
that
another
episode.
fun theory of yours.
That what if she bonds an orange dragon, and then she has two flying apparatuses to go on? I don't know. I think that would be fun.
Let's talk more about the gods. There's lots of questions about the gods here. First of all, here from Kelsey with the little butterfly. Oh, every time I see that butterfly, I always think of Quicksilver.
I was gonna say little Osha, yeah.
Yes. Do we think that we will meet any gods in book 4? So I'm under the impression the gods are not like tangible beings, but I definitely think that they are. There's a lot more magic of theirs that is going to be at play. So I also, what do you think, Nicole?
I agree with you that I don't think they're like sentient, but I don't know, because I also said that going into book 3, and then we get all this like Dune's wrath, and it's almost like Dune is up in the sky. I think about like the 3 fates from Greek mythology, right? Where they're almost like, you know, kind of stirring the pot up in Olympus. And so I could see where that is what we're supposed to like almost see them as, but they're never down on the ground, like they're never talking to us. But I don't know, I could see a moment where Violet almost has to communicate with Dune, but it would be more through, maybe it would be through dreams, maybe it would be through actually dreams. No, I'm gonna stick with dreams. I think it wouldn't be like they're having a conversation face to face, but it would be more like in her mind. Does that make sense?
Like a Harry Potter Dumbledore's sort of situation?
Yeah, kind of like that. Yeah. Like kind of King's Cross, there we go, kind of that situation.
I can see something along those lines. Yeah. I also, I'm trying to find the quote here. Well, here's a few about Violet. Do we think that Violet will be dedicated by the end of the series? Fully dedicated?
I don't, but I'm truly going off of vibes and vibes alone. Like I have no concrete evidence to back that up. That's just my nudge. What do you think?
I think she might be, but I love the idea of her being fully dedicated to Loyal.
See, I like the idea of Xaden being fully dedicated to Loyal. And if he's fully dedicated to Loyal, then I see Violet being fully dedicated to Dune. And then they're like the two.
Yeah. You know what? I actually do think that Violet could be fully dedicated. I don't think that it'll give her an extra power boost necessarily, but I think that there is something with that could...
See, I think it would give her an extra power boost, considering what... See, this is another question that we have for Rebecca Yarros, and that is what power, when someone is fully dedicated, specifically as a high priestess for Theophany, she was so powerful, But then she was like, why serve a god when you can become one? So what was the power that she had as a high priestess who was fully dedicated?
I don't think she's going to answer that question either, but
I know.
We have to try. I think that Violet, so I see Violet being dedicated where it's like her path is set at the end, but maybe with her choosing Xaden, she will always choose Xaden. Maybe that in and of itself, I'll say, disqualifies her from being fully dedicated.
Possibly.
Yeah.
This is a fun question from Sarah. Which god would you be dedicated to if you had to choose? Okay, so like but really quickly, let's list them off. There's wisdom, luck, love, war. Amari is just queen of the gods.
Yeah.
Malik, and I think that's it.
Yeah, those are the 6 there.
Yeah.
I would say Zanal.
Okay, that's what I was like.
I'm chaotic enough for that.
But here's the deal. If you and I were dedicated to Zanal, we would have to fully release control and let Zanal just guide
Never
everything
mind.
we
I'm not
do.
going to dedicate myself to Zanal. You know what?
See, I would originally think wisdom because I'm like, oh, that'd be nice. But then going to the wisdom aisle, I'm like, fuck no, would I want to do this? Absolutely not. I want to say Loisum, but okay, yeah, I agree with Caro. Caro, you and I, same brain today. I want to visit Loisum before I dedicate myself to Loyal. Yes, I agree.
Yes.
What do we do typically as we're pivoting from one series to another? Is there any rituals or is there any like standard operating procedures that we have to do in order to transition from one series to another? So always whenever we pivot, whenever we move to a new series, we revamp, I'm going to say, everything that is in the Discord, all of the tiers, the names that you all are right now as like Dragon Riders and Iron Squad will all be changing on April 29th to something that is much more Kindra's Curse Saga. We also read.
Do we want to release what the tier names are?
Ooh,
For you all?
Yeah, let's ask. Do you guys want to? Do you guys want to hear what they are? Oh my god! Thank you, Holly.
We'll be honest. This one was a little bit difficult, just because we don't want to do like, I'll say like their classes. Like for instance, we don't want to do like mortals and then descended because we don't want to elevate one above the other with their races. So it was a very difficult one for us to do, but we do have it. Oh, only if there are no spoilers.
I don't think there are. It's very out of context.
You're right. Yeah, it's very out of context. Yep, no spoilers here. Yep.
Yes. All right.
Yes.
Do you have it in front of you, or I can grab it?
I do not. I thought you looked like you were putting it in front of you.
I was grabbing a snack, but yes, I will happily grab it.
While you're doing that, also just like we start reading the books. Like I'm right now about halfway through my Glow of the Everflame reread, and we just like really familiarize ourselves. We will go ahead and share with all of you that because we always do like an intro episode as well. Usually only about 15 minutes where we kind of go through like what the segments will be like, because this one is going to be just a tiny bit different, and you know, like how we got into the series, like why we're doing the series and what we're really excited about for it. And we are so excited that Pin is actually going to be joining us for our intro one this time, and so she's also going to share some really fun behind the scenes insight of the series, specifically Spark, and like just talking about some general themes going into the deep dive of the series. So we are so excited to have her on for that interview, like a pre-deep dive there.
There's so much that we're going to be covering in this that we've already kind of talked with her about some things that we have planned for certain characters, I'll say, so that we don't give any spoilers. And she's so excited because there are some characters that do get quite a bit of judgment, I'll say, like some Dane level judgment from book one. And we're really excited to stand in their shoes while we, I won't say defend the character, but look at things through their point of view.
I can go ahead and lots of questions about when the release is for Burn. No, that is not going to be like, she's not going to be releasing that on our podcast.
All right, to the fan club names. So the cadets are going to become the Descended. The Dragon Riders are going to become the Royal Family. And the Inner Circle is going to become the Crown's Council. Meanwhile, the moderators are going to be called the Guardians of the Everflame. And then the FFG team, I'm going to hold off because that might be a little spoilery. So there you go.
So real quickly, we can go ahead and say this about book 4 is that they do, Penn and her team have an internal date, which is within this year. And they're really trying their hardest to shoot for it. And she is still finalizing a few things before they are able to confirm it. So they are working very, very hard behind the scenes to get that out as soon as possible. But she does not want to say anything until it is absolutely 1,000,000% certain. So, but it is going to be coming out sometime this year. And oh my gosh, yeah, it's going to be so much fun. Like, we haven't done a deep dive where it's like a new romance for a long time, because even with Silver Flames, those two characters that I just read off, they like, there was still like a lot going on, like there a lot of tension, like sexual tension between them for a while beforehand. But like, feels like it's been since really truly Akamath that we got like a new character romance.
That's actually a really good point. Yes.
I'm so excited.
You all, I was texting Lexi the other night and I was saying to her that anytime there is a slow burn moment between the FMC and the MMC, I'm going beat by beat. Like, because there is so much waiting that I will be pulling every single morsel out while I can. I hope you all liked my bang, bang, bangity bang song for the chair scene, because you're not going to hear it for a while. Actually, that's not true.
We have some huge news to share with you all. AG1 just launched their next generation, the same single scoop once a day, but with upgraded vitamins, minerals, and probiotics, and it's clinically backed. They have seriously gone the distance to raise the standards in testing. AG1's next gen is now one of the most clinically backed green powders. They went above and beyond the industry standard in testing and have made a great product even better.
AG1's next gen formula has been clinically shown to help fill common nutrient gaps, even in healthy eaters. With 5 new probiotic strains and additional vitamins and minerals, AG1 Next Gen represents the biggest step forward yet for daily foundational nutrition.
If you all have been listening to us for a while, you know AG1 is one of our favorites. We never travel without it, and it's so easy. There's little travel packs. I have it every single morning in my smoothie or on its own. It's so delicious, and I notice a huge difference in my focus and my daily energy just being sustainable throughout the day. It's
for me, my tummy health.
Yes, absolutely. It's amazing.
Now clinically backed with an advanced formula, this is the perfect time to try AG1 if you haven't yet. We've been drinking AG1 for over a year now, and we are so happy to be partnering with them. So subscribe today to try the new next gen of AG1. If you use our link, you'll also get a free bottle of AG D3K2, an AG1 welcome kit, and 5 of the upgraded AG1 travel packs with your first order. So make sure to check out drinkag1.com/FFG to get started with AG1's next gen and notice the benefits for yourself. That's drinkag1.com/FFG. We have seen this question several times, so let's go ahead and address it. Are we going to record the interview? Noelle, I presume that you are asking about the Rebecca Yarros interview in Orlando that we'll be doing in October. And the truth is we highly doubt it because it is through Disney World. We can promise you that we will absolutely ask and do our due diligence to try to bring it to everybody. However, we do not necessarily have our hopes up. We're not holding our breath like we were with the previous interview.
And here's what we will say that we're planning on doing, that if we cannot get the interview, is having people meticulously videoing, taking notes, all that kind of stuff. And then Lexi and I are going to compile all of that information and probably do a bonus episode of some sort, or maybe do something like this, like a Q&A, where we will divulge as much information as we can from what she said in the interview.
Yep. So if you're not able to hear it directly, you will at least be able to get good nuggets from us afterward. So that's the best that what we will absolutely do everything we possibly can. And we also know that Rebecca is always wanting to share. She never wants to gatekeep that information from everybody. So it really comes down to Disney World and
what they plan. So. A question from Blowflow: is the Orlando interview just Onyx Storm, or will you be discussing her other books? We will be primarily leaning into Onyx Storm simply because at the Denver interview, yes, it was Onyx Storm, but we did have to keep things as spoiler-free as we tried. We followed her lead on that. And luckily we got a little bit of information out of her, but this is where the wheels are off, friends. We get to ask her anything and everything we can regarding Onyx Storm within reason.
Yeah. And also, I've seen other people asking about tickets for Romantasy Book Con have sold out completely. As far as we know, there will not be any more tickets released. However, if you go to their Discord, it's free, accessible for anybody to go to. And they do have like a resale section. So we highly recommend going to that and try to do, like pick up any resales or something like that. So
Yep.
mhm.
Yep.
Yep.
Let's take what, two more questions?
Yeah, let's definitely do that. I like obviously I know that this is going a little bit longer than usual, so if you gotta go, of course, all of that stuff. But yeah, let's do this. From Holly, will Indarna go back to the Irids again?
I don't think so. I think the pain of being separated from Violet would have been way too much once. So I don't think she would. I think if she does, it would be with Violet.
Oh.
That would be my guess.
Does that mean that Taran would go too, or do you think that Indarna would fly her there?
I think Taran would have to go too.
Do you think the Irids could possibly have healed her wing?
Yes. I'm going with yes. Absolutely.
Well, so along these same lines, Nikki's asks, do we think Andarna was actually gone for years in Irid time? Can Irids manipulate time? And Andarna got so much knowledge in such a short amount of human time.
I hope that's the case. It feels a little Deus Ex Machina to me, but I really, for just needing Andarna to know things, I hope so.
I agree with you. I like as of right because okay, so I don't have the exact timeline in front of me, so be gentle with me. But Andarna leaves to go with Leothin, and it's approximately 2 weeks later that she comes back to Violet. Is that right?
I want to say yes, but I think it's a little less than 2 weeks. It's definitely over a week and a half. I know that for sure.
Okay, so let's just call it 10 days to 2 weeks.
Yes.
And so that means that it would have been very difficult for them to go to the Irids den, and then she pretty much would have had to go straight back because it does take, even though they are more south and they're closer to the Isles, we don't know exactly where it is, but I'm guessing it would be a little bit further away.
Leothin also would have had to like carry her though, if that was the case, or like let her like ride on his back.
But that's why I'm wondering, maybe he didn't heal her wing, but they have such unique magic that maybe that had something to do with it, where he was able to like channel magic into her to give her that extra strength to push forward. So I could see it being two things. One is that she's on her way there, and when Violet had her second signet or her dream with that, and she's like, wait, I shouldn't be feeling this. I feel like maybe Andarna felt something and then she went back towards Violet. However, we realized in the deep dive that there's only hours of time between her having that dream and her showing and Darna showing back up. So she would have had to be fairly close by. So that kind of makes me wonder, maybe that wouldn't have actually worked out. Or she did go to the Irids and really was just like, nope, this is not for me. And then she flew back to Violet. But that would have been a lot of flying for her in 2 weeks. And I don't know if she can do it.
I think they were just on the continent, just like incognito. Maybe they needed to do that before they went back to the Dragon Den so that they could, have some time so that Leothin could really understand her. They were training in private. Yes, like Dana's saying here, I think Leothin was training her in private, but they never left. But then Leothin wanted to train her for a little bit before going back to the Irids Isles. You okay there?
I'm good. Just very strong.
But yeah, so I think I definitely think that's how that happened, and that way there was not a big time difference between her having to fly. There wasn't her fatigue and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I also love what Christy's saying here. Maybe he told Andarna how to fix her own wing since they are pure magic, and he was like, you can fix it yourself. Maybe they are pure magic. Maybe they teleported.
Yeah, it's some like distance walking or stuff like that.
Yeah, there's so much unknown about the Irids that it's like, we just don't know. Yeah, maybe they can distance walk. Sorry, I'm just having so much fun reading all of these. Yeah, it's like 10 days, I think. Okay, great. Thank you so much, Nicole. Yeah. But like back to the question about could there be time manipulation? I would be surprised if there was. I would be surprised, but not like completely flabbergasted, if that makes sense. Yeah.
I agree.
Alrighty.
Oh, I wanted to answer this actually as we were talking about Andarna and the leaving. If Leothin did help her in some way fix her wing, or even if he didn't, honestly, Lozez says, do you think that Violet will ride on Andarna's back in books 4 or 5? Absolutely. I thought it was going to be in book 3, and I lost that bet. So I think it's definitely going to be in book 5. Or it's going to be in book 4.
Yeah. Oh, here's a good question. Will we go to Loisum? You know, how do you think Loyal will come into play? We kind of already talked about that, like as far as like with the soul and things like that. But I am willing to die on the hill that we will be going to Loisum.
I think we can add that to the list of things we would absolutely believe are happening in book 4, if not book 4 or 5. Yes, I think it's very safe to say we're going to go to Loisum. I think there's a reason we did not go to Loisum this book. But how do I think Loyal will come into play? I just goes back to, I keep on going back to this, the pattern of 3 and the love and how Venin can feel love. And maybe Venin Xaden can go to Loyal and get dedicated, and because the love and the something or other, and that's how he gets cured. I don't know. But like, or maybe it just like halts the process. I have no idea. But I definitely think that. I don't know if we're going to go with Xaden. I can't remember if I said this on air or if we cut it from the episode, but I do think that whenever we do go to Loisum, it's going to be just Violet. So Xaden's not going to be with her. And I could see it being something like the trial being some kind of prove your love that you have.
Yes.
And Violet's going to have to figure out how to prove her love when her love's not with her, which would just rip my heart out.
I love that so much. Yeah. Here's another really great question about within the 12 hours from Brittany. Of all the bad stuff that is revealed to have happened at the end of Violet's last chapter, what do you think Xaden is actually responsible for?
Eggs. I'd like whether that's the actual taking of the eggs or orchestrating the puppets to go take the eggs and take them to Umbriel or take them wherever they did. I definitely think eggs he is in charge of.
So do you think that the elders died and the 4 dragons and their riders died defending the eggs? Because that's what makes the most sense. In that case, that would mean that. So what if? So I like to think that maybe it's the Venin, like Berwyn, who went and attacked. But at the same time, it's behind the wards.
Yeah. See, this is what happens on air. Lexi and I try to figure out theories on air, and then we just have to cut it all out of the episode because we're like, what if but no, there's and we like say like half sentence
rambling. I think that I like to think that it was the Venin who were orchestrating all of that with the elders and things like that. And so maybe Xaden ensured the 6 eggs did not go to the Venin like they was initially supposed to be.
So Kit here says Auric and Xaden did the egg heist is my crack theory. I love the idea that it's Auric because he would have probably seen something that like, oh, the eggs need to go to X place. And that's where Xaden and Violet went in, got the eggs, maybe gave them to Garrick so he could distance walk. Who knows? I have no idea.
I saw another question at one point is how far in the future do we think that Auric's Signet can see? Because my guess is not that far.
Yeah, I don't think that far.
My guess is pretty early. Like, for instance, with him, with Violet saving Tyrandor, that is a few weeks, right? In advance there? No, not even.
No, it is.
That's
10
10 days.
It's 10 days, yeah.
So yeah, I think that it would probably be up to 2 weeks. Yes, I love that Fire in Wonderland. I think his visions get further into the future, the more powerful he gets. Yes. I love that so
Well, that's how we're feeling with Imogen and Dane. It's like the more powerful they get, the further Imogen can wipe or the further Dane can see, so on and so forth.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. Should we do one more question here and then wrap up? There was one question about merch as well for like kind of like as we're all just, I'll call it hanging out afterwards. So we'll finish this up with Onyx Storm and then just maybe chill for another 10 minutes for any other random questions, but especially about the fan club. We always want to make sure you all are getting the most out of the fan club experience. So if you have any questions about logistics or whatever that might be, to make sure that you're all connected and getting the best of those, then please ask those questions then too. So
Yes.
More
Let's do
here.
one.
We kind of talked about this, but didn't really. From Cassie, do we think any of the gods are legitimately working through specific characters and represented by them, like they are playing with humans' lives?
So I think this goes back to the 6 most powerful. And I don't know if this would be like they're actually legitimately working through them or if they're literally literary symbolism of it. So like, for instance, like Fire in Wonderland is saying Amari through Rhiannon. When we first meet Rhiannon, it's described how she looks
Riddick
just
and
like
Zanal.
Amari. Riddick and Zanal, Violet and Dune, probably Xaden and I believe Loyal is what I feel like the most correlated is. I'm trying to think of others, but I think those are the first ones off the top of my head. But then it goes into who would the other people be? So, if, like, for instance, I could see Dane being Hedion for wisdom.
Yeah, sorry. I just saw that Noelle said Dane went from Ask Jeeves and Fourth Wing to Google, and Love that so much. Anyway, sorry, that's not necessarily relevant to this.
Fire in Wonderland says Justinia through Hedotus or Hedion. So I could absolutely see that. And then Dane could be through, I don't know, someone would be through Malik. I don't know who that would be. Maybe Sloane. Honestly, I could see Sloane be through Malik, considering how tied in with Death she is. Jack fucking Barlow, Holly says, is through Malik. Don't do that to Lexi. No.
You know what? I did actually want to point out there was a few questions. If you could remove one character from the series, who would it be and why? And I said my obvious answer is Jack fucking Barlow, though I understand his purpose to the story.
If you can remove one character, I mean, yeah, probably Jack fucking Barlow would be the answer for me. I'm trying to think who. Maybe Brennan. Honestly, Brennan wouldn't be far off from my list either.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
And while we're kind of on the pre-selected questions, I know I said one more question, but whatever. Megan asked, "What is one answer we did not get in Onyx Storm you wish we did?"
Naolan and Brennan and the freaking palm thing. I wish. Oh my God. Yeah, that's definitely mine.
I would say too, like a little bit more about how Andarna was able to burn that venom. Like we got such a good teaser in the prologue, and then it was like, oh yes, and then it never came up again. So I definitely think that's going to come into play. Yeah.
Oh yes.
Brennan's rune. Yep. Absolutely.
Yep.
What does everybody think that rune is? Because I know we've talked about it a little bit on the podcast. I think that we talk about it in episode 11, right? Yes, we do talk about a few theories with that in episode 11.
Yes, we do.
But do you all think that it's an active rune, or do you think that it is a scar, like a truly a scar?
I think it's a scar from a previously used rune. I think it's something that Naolan used to resurrect Brennan.
Yep.
Yeah,
the rune. He's a wyvern / their.
Yeah, I see that a lot. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. You all, thank you so much for staying with us for this extended Q&A. This was so fun. Like Lexi mentioned, we'll stay on for a few minutes and answer questions and all that kind of stuff that you all may have about the fan club or merch or benefits or anything like that. We always want to make sure you're getting the most out of your experience. But thank you, as always, to our executive producer, aka our sanity manager, and that is Hayden. I almost went straight into that. Thank you all, just know him. That is his name. And then also to Peyton, who is the sanity manager, aka our community assistant, who are working in the background, learning all the ropes. We're so honored to have you both on the team. Thank you all for being here.
I just want to say, like, Nicole and I this week, like, there's always so much going on, and Nicole and my sanity has been just so much better. Like, it's like there's always so many balls up in the air, and it's like as we're building out our team, we have. Like, we can
Nights
breathe.
Off.
We can breathe.
Crazy. I've had almost every night off this week, and you know what I've done? Played Baldur's Gate. It's been great. I've loved it. It's been amazing.
I can't even get past the goblin camp.
Alrighty, friends. I think that is it. Lexi and I are going to go into our hidey holes and outline. Thank you all again so much for being here. This is an extra long, fun time to be spending with you all, and we just adore you. Mwah!
Yes, indeed. Oh, no, we have not read his Dark Materials trilogy.
I've heard about it, though. Yes.
I have heard about it as well. Yes. How do we feel about finishing up Onyx Storm?
Excited to go to something new, but sad to leave Empyrean.
Yeah. Imperion is just like our home. And so I think these 12 episodes were perfect. Like, it was really good. And it is always exciting to go into a new series, too.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
All right, everybody. Finish that margarita. Yes, I will. Cheers.
Yes. Cheers. Bye.
Bye.